Hey guys, welcome to another Petroholics video. Today is another video on the M240, as you can see on my right. I've had it clean for the first time in like 3 weeks. It's just non-stop been raining. We're in our secret location number 3, just off the coast of Finland. I don't know if Finland actually has a coast. I'm not too good at my geography. But yes, I hope you can't see any signs of where we actually are. Why are people discreet about where they record? Because it's not like we come here every single time. Yeah, so anyways, in today's video, this is gonna be, look, I've owned the car for about 1.5 years now. So this video is little stuff that I've identified that not enough people talk about. There are problems with the M240i, and it's some of the points specifically about the B58. So it doesn't necessarily apply to my car, but B58 engines in general. So the first point that I want to talk about, now by the way, just a quick one, in terms of my day job, I'm some sort of an analyst, so I like to analyze things. So just take that into consideration, okay? Like these things that I'm talking about perhaps happen in like other cars. Perhaps everyone's already aware of it, but I don't really care. But I'm quite like picky with these things and I want things to be perfect. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So first things first, let's just get it out the way. Obviously you're aware with all B58 engines, including the one in my M240i, has coolant leak issues. So from factory, these coolant systems are meant to be pressurized, they're meant to be sealed, they're meant to be leak proof, and you're not meant to need to require to like top up or maintain your coolant levels ever, basically. But of course, as we all know, that's not true. When the car runs hot, and there's a lot of, the system's obviously built up a lot of pressure. My understanding is some of that, some of the coolant through evaporation is leaking through the actual filler cap. So I'm talking about the main reservoir. The small reservoir is not affected at all. So what I did to combat that is called BMW to say, hey, you guys are aware of this coolant issue with the B58s, right? They're like, huh? What coolant issue? I have no idea what you're talking about. But anyways, long story short, I bought a new one for £18. It's not a fix for the problem, but apparently it's meant to make it a little bit better. Just a new filler cap with new seals. And that's helped the coolant levels stay a little bit more level. But it's just one of those things, as an owner, you're gonna have to check on it sort of like every month, basically, just to make sure that you're running with coolant in the car and you're not running that dry. And just one last point in relation to that point is the fact that the coolant sensor on the bottom of the reservoir, it only tells you that you're low on coolant when that whole massive reservoir is literally bone dry empty. It should be a lot sooner than that. So 2 issues: 1, leak from the filler cap, and 2, the actual coolant warning doesn't come soon enough and you could potentially prematurely damage your engine. So just be careful for that one. So that's a really obvious one. That's one that most B58 owners are already aware of. There's enough in the forums and YouTube videos and things like that. The next one is when you start up the car and it's cold, there are a few issues that sort of arise. So the first one is, I think what some people call it like the creeping mode. So when you start your car, you let go of the brake and your car creeps forward. That's what an automatic car does. In this one, if you start up the car, especially if it's cold, but I can demonstrate the issue even when the engine is actually warm. You start up the car, you let go of the brake, no throttle application whatsoever, simply start the car and let go of the brake, and the car just like darts forward. If you haven't driven the car before, and let's say you're driving it out of like a garage, it could literally catch you off guard and you might go straight through your garage door. When you're starting up the car cold, you need to release the brake very, very slowly because all the car wants to do is just dart forward. And that's an issue that BMW will never admit to, they will never fix, they will never tweak the software to deal with that issue. It's just a characteristic of the car. Another one, now this happens very rarely. So to be specific, in a year and a half of owning it, this has probably happened about 4 times. Again, the car is cold, you start it up, you're in the first 5 minutes of your journey, you come to the first set of traffic lights, it's red, you stop the car, the traffic lights turn green, you want to drive off and you can't because the transmission goes into neutral. Now, to the best of my knowledge, there's nothing wrong with my gear shift knob. I know like it's an electrical component. There isn't some sort of vibration that's knocking my gear stick into neutral. Literally very, very random. It happens very, very rarely. But you stop at a light, it goes into neutral, you try to drive away, the car tells you that you're in neutral and that you need to go into drive. It's very embarrassing, it's really annoying, and it leads you to think that there's a massive problem with your car or your transmission is on its way out. You know, write in the comments if you think otherwise and I'm an idiot and my transmission is on its way out. Let me know. To the best of my knowledge, my car is very healthy. It's been well maintained and looked after. It should not ever, even if it happens once in a year, it should never randomly go into neutral. So another rare issue that I've identified in my car, and this has happened both when I didn't have the CarPlay retrofit and when I've had the CarPlay as well. So the reason why I'm making that point is I promise you it's nothing in relation to my installation of a CarPlay retrofit. But again, this happens very rarely. For argument's sake, again, it's probably happened about 4 times since I've owned the car. Randomly, when you start up the car, and it could be when you've just started up the car on a warm day, on a cold day, at the start of a journey, or maybe you haven't started your car up for like 5 days. It doesn't matter, there's no correlation. Sometimes the iDrive system just shuts. Like when you turn on the car, it's already off, but it remains off. There's no power going to it. So the radio isn't working, the audio isn't working. That screen and that system, the iDrive system, is completely off. Sometimes I will turn off the car, leave it for 5 minutes, turn it back on and it'll be fine. Sometimes I do that and it's still off for the next like 30 minutes. It's completely random. Again, it's a very, very rare issue. And I've seen it in forums that it's affected other people and everyone says it's just a normal BMW thing. Again, if you're experiencing that issue, let us know. Is it just me? Is my car about to blow up? I doubt it. I'm pretty sure it's just a BMW thing. And then the last one, which we kind of uncovered in the last video that we made with the M240i, I briefly touched on it. Again, this is especially pronounced when the car is cold and at the start of a journey. But when you're at a standstill and you want to drive off, and let's say you put like, you know, 15% throttle application to be able to just drive off smoothly. The car sometimes just lags. Like it feels like a turbo lag. So you put the power down, say like 15-20%, not much, you just want to drive away. Nothing happens for like half a second, and then you start to edge forwards, and then all of that power like suddenly builds up and you pick up speed with the same input in throttle. So you're not like changing your throttle application, you've just gone to that 20% throttle application, half a second pause, then the car slowly starts to move, and then that power just suddenly comes. When the car is warmed up, it still happens a little bit, but especially when it's cold, it's very, very pronounced. And why am I bringing this up? So pretend like you want to go for that gap, right? And especially when your car is cold, you don't have the confidence to say, okay, my car is gonna like drive off at the exact same like speed, at the exact same amount, and at the exact same time. Like you don't have that confidence because it's so inconsistent. Again, I believe it's like a characteristic of the car. In some of the forums, again, we'll show you some pictures. There are people, when the car was in warranty, that went to BMW, described the issue, was able to replicate the issue to the technicians. They reset everything in the car, done a 100-point check, blah, blah, blah. And they ultimately deemed it to be the characteristic of the car. Which just isn't good enough. Like, at least admit, look, it's a characteristic of the car, meaning the software that was developed, the ECU that was developed for the car, the mechanics, they obviously got a few things wrong in terms of the car and living with the car. So yeah, that was like 5 points that I have uncovered within the 1.5 year ownership of this car that I just wanted you guys to be crystal clear on, give you the best amount of information, so if you ever purchase this car, you can be well informed. These are issues that honestly, every single one of them, like BMW should recall the car and fix the problem. But because it's in every single car and it's technically not really much of a security or health risk concern or any like major concern, it's like little things. But all of these little things really affects your whole experience of the car. It leads you to believe that there might be something wrong with your car, all of that type of stuff, and it's not nice. But yeah, that's me being very, very nitty-picky. That's my honest review of the car and the 5 biggest problems of the car that will never be fixed. If you're having these issues, like put it in the comments, please let me know. I would love to be able to identify that I'm actually uncovering genuine problems that you're all going through, or maybe I'm not understanding some problems and my car does have a genuine problem. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's going to be the shortest video that we've ever made, which is probably a good thing. Short, sweet, informative, and we're going to continue to make some awesome videos on the M240i. In one of the next videos, we're going to be changing the brake fluid. So we're going to be doing a DIY video on changing the brake fluid. And we're going to be fitting some HEL, H-E-L, braided steel brake lines as well. And we're also going to be doing a stage 1 and a double resonator delete, which we won off a bet that I made with Chris from Modstock. I'm getting that done for free. If you haven't watched that Buckmore karting video, we'll put it up on the screen as well. Before I waffle on any longer, I hope you guys have an amazing day, weekend, week, month, year. Happy New Year. If we don't get to speak to you guys, it might already be Happy New Year by the time we release this. You might want to edit that out. But yeah guys, peace, and we'll see you in the next video.